All right. All right, guys. How's everyone doing today? Um, Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Aaliyah Bunch, Director of MBE Services here at Eastern Minority Supplier Development Council. So I want to thank everyone that was able to register and take time to join us today for our quarterly Secure the Bag session. Um, just to bring you guys up to date on Secure the Bag, is our financial resources quarterly session where we try to bring information on resources, our current resources, funding resources for your business. So this is the second session that we were able to bring on partners from WEDnetPA. So I wanted to take a minute to introduce them, but first, just wanted to let you guys know, as always, please take note and look at our upcoming newsletter that's coming out, our website for any upcoming events and opportunities for you to engage with us. This financial sourcing webinar is going to be with WEDnet. We have Mr. Reggie Overton. He'll be able to give you a little bit of overview on the program and what Mr. Reggie and Jay Vincent does with WEDnetPA. So Reggie, thank you for joining us again, and thank you, Vincent. This floor is all yours.
Well, thank you. So good afternoon. As Aaliyah mentioned, my name is Reggie Overton, and I'm with the Community College of Allegheny County. My counterpart, Jay Vincent, is on the eastern part of the state. What we wanted to do today is kind of give you an overview of the program, and also let you know that we are 2 of 22 that do what we do as part of our job at WEDnet. So we're called what you would say partners. So today we're talking about the program, and we're the administrative component. We're your link between the state and the program. That you don't normally deal with the state who oversees this program. So WEDnet stands for Workforce Economic Development Network. And I believe Meg is sharing the screen. So the screen that you're looking at now, if you went to www.wednetpa.com, this is the main site. If you have never used the program, this is probably the first place you would want to go to get more. There's a lot of information here, and we may go through it pretty quickly, but we're going to give you some highlights of the program, then open it for questions. And so if you see in that green banner, there's one at the top, Home, About Us, Contact, and Log into Isaac. If you were already a member and using WEDnet, you could go into log into Isaac and use your appropriate password and information. If you've never used the program, then you would go to that second green bar and look at where it says Apply Today. That's where you will click on. But before you do that, you probably want to scroll down. Meg, let's scroll down and look at the program overview. So on the far, let's scroll back up a little bit. Okay. So this is pretty much the program is a reimbursement program. They call it a grant in terms of for training. So you would have to go through the process of doing an inquiry and populating respective fields to determine a training plan, which will enable us to determine how much we can possibly ask for based on funds that are allocated. So the WEDnet program is funded. We're probably 24 years old, coming up on our 25th anniversary in terms of working with companies throughout this Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. This program is geared for Pennsylvania residents that are full-time benefited employees. Okay, the company is the sponsor. So if your company is eligible, then you would be the sponsor, but the reimbursement is based on the individuals at your company on the training plan. And we can scroll through that. So let's go down a little bit and let's open up the funding guide. Because I think this is going to give you, this is a quick executive summary of the program. So this is something you might want to share with your leadership team versus the person that's going to be working with this on a daily basis. They're going to need to be intimately aware and work with the company guidelines. So the first few pages, this is like a marketing piece that kind of talks about the program. Now, this page that's coming up now is pretty critical. This is a real tight summary about the program. It's one application, you training plan and contract. You are eligible to get reimbursed up to $2,000 a year. The fiscal year starts July 1st, runs through June 30th of the next year. So we're currently in the process of accepting applications and gathering information in anticipation and preparation for awarding funds probably sometime in August. Okay. Another key component here is that one that starts with the U, the third one down, where Jay and I are both engaged here. My primary role at the Community College of Allegheny County is working with companies that outsource training. But today, I just have my WEDnet hat on and we're just talking about the program, so I represent the state. And that's important because one, if you see there, you choose the training, you choose the training vendor or partner or organization that was going to do the training and the method. It could be in person, it could be online. You can probably go, if you go to a conference, if it meets the criteria, that would be eligible for reimbursement. So if you see there, I think I mentioned there's 22 of us that do what we do from an administrative standpoint that cover the state. As I indicated, I cover the western part of the state. There are 3 others. I guess you have Beaver, Butler, Westmoreland, and Johnstown and also Penn Highlands is in Johnstown, which is not too far. So we tend to stay in our respective counties. However, there are some counties that aren't covered by a community college or one of these partners that we could work with. If you as a company decided that you want one of us to be your administrator, you can select us when you do the application process. I'm going to take a break right now because there may be some things that Jay wants to plug in instead of just hearing myself talk.
So the company has to be in Pennsylvania, and for an employee to qualify, they have to reside in Pennsylvania and work in Pennsylvania. Each company can get up to $100,000 a year, but each employee is only entitled to $2,000 a year. So if you have 10 employees, you cannot get 100,000. You can get 20,000. Okay, and training can be one of 3 ways. You can have somebody from the outside come to the training for you. That's called a third party. You can have somebody from one of your partners, or you can have one of your partners do the training for you. That's of course a partner. There's always an advantage when, either Reggie's college or my college does training for you because we help with invoicing and other, things that are necessary. Yeah. Or you can have an in-house training. Those are the 3 different ways of training. A third party, a provider, third-party provider, a partner, or in-house. In-house, you will have a subject matter expert from your company do the training. But that's only limited to companies that have less than 100 people.
Less than 500.
500.
Hey, Meg, scroll down a little.
I think it's 100. Over 100, I think it's considered a mid-sized company.
We'll get the right. We'll just show you a key document here. So why don't you, can you blow that up so people can see that? Okay, I think we covered a lot of it. And Jay mentioned that is located in Pennsylvania, must be eligible industry.
Yeah, and of course they have to be fully employed with benefits. They should be earning at least $12 an hour.
Yep.
And again, full-time employees living in Pennsylvania, living and working in Pennsylvania, because you have companies that have let's say they'll have a branch in Pennsylvania and then have a branch in New Jersey or Delaware. If they're living in Pennsylvania and working in Delaware, even though it's the same company, they don't qualify. If they live in Delaware and work in Pennsylvania, they don't qualify. So they have to live in Pennsylvania and work at a Pennsylvania branch of the company. Then they'll qualify for reimbursement. Again, as I said earlier, each employee is qualified for $2,000 during the course of the fiscal year, which starts July 1st and ends June 30th. Training must be completed by June 30th. The last year of training should be June 30th. And you don't get reimbursed for partial training. Let's say if there are 3 parts to the training, you complete 2 parts. By June 30th, you don't get reimbursed 2/3 of the training cost. Everything has to be completed by June 30th.
And on that point, and it can't cross fiscal years. So if you have a training that's currently underway now, but it doesn't end until July, that would not be eligible because this fiscal year ends on June 30th and you can't cross fiscal years. So the training must start after July 1 and be completed, as Jay indicated, by June 30th. And ideally, you want to do the training and get it done and not wait till the end of the year from an invoicing standpoint. Meg, scroll down a little bit more because I think this is good in terms of, because one of the things I want to know is and we might have to go to a different slide to talk about, does your company qualify? Because I think that's obviously very important from an industry standpoint, because there are certain industries that are not eligible for the program. And obviously you've taken the time. I didn't know if you had a chance to look at the website beforehand to determine if your respective company would be eligible for the program. So let's scroll down.
And most times, if you're not eligible, or if you don't think you are, we can always get word from the statewide office. The director can always make an exception, depending on, an explanation from your partner or yourself. Because there are times when we deal with companies that we've never dealt with. So the statewide director will take a look at, your company, you'll go through your website, and then we'll determine if, he can give you an exception. And also, if you have anything to do with marijuana, you don't qualify. If let's say if you're a manufacturer of container or packaging, and you're manufacturing it strictly or just for a marijuana company, you will not qualify. If you're a packaging company and then you have a marijuana company say, make us some package, yeah. As long as that's not the only thing you're doing, as long as you're making packaging for other companies. And I think the requirement is that you're supposed to submit an invoice. I think is it 30 days, 45 days after training.
Yes. I mean, it can wait, but we have our discretion. So to help Jay and I do our jobs better, the timely submission of invoices, one, it gets you reimbursed, but also, like we're saying, to be quite candid, we're in the very, very busy part of the year right now, and the system can have some challenges in terms of being able to get accessed because everyone's trying to get everything done by the end of June. So ideally, your training is spread out through the year, and you do your training and invoice promptly. You submit your invoices promptly after training has been completed. You can't submit your invoice until the training has actually been completed.
The day after. Yeah, it's usually the day after the training. If the training ends today, you wait till tomorrow and then submit the invoice. You cannot submit the invoice on the day the training ends. And also, there are also some things that you have to look at when you're doing your invoicing. Of one, you're going to need the social security number of the employees, but we don't keep that. WEDnet doesn't keep the social security numbers. Once you enter the number into the system, it converts into a unique identification number. That's the number that we keep. And that's used to track your reimbursement. So there are times when, if you've got, let's say if you've used $1,500 and then you do a training for, $1,000, you only get reimbursed for $500 because that's all you have left. The system will tell you, in fact, it'll automatically say, this is how much you're going to get because you've used up so much. And what else? Anything?
So
Reggie?
Meg, scroll up a little bit more. I want to just see. Okay, stop there. So I think Jay highlighted the following businesses that are not eligible. So that's one category. So Meg, let's get out of this. And like I said, this document here is a nice executive summary. Now, the person that's going to be working on this on a daily basis, let's open up the company guidelines. So if we click on that to the far right, yeah, there you go. And I think, let's see if my memory is pretty good. Let's scroll down to page 5. I think page 5 is well, why don't we stop here? So yeah, let's go back up and here's your, so here we go. This is critical information here. And what I was going to direct us to do is we want to go to eligibility, right? Additional eligibility criteria. So let's start with page 4. And you can see there's a lot stuff here, okay?
Yeah.
And this is the criteria. So company eligibility. We're not going to read it line by line, but please note this information is there. But I think this is probably going to be something that's pretty important for you to take a look at before you say, yes, this is something we need to do. I think, Jay, neither one of us kind of highlighted this. Since this is a taxpayer-funded program,
Yeah.
we are very judicious in terms of, and there's actually, funds are tight. I think both Jay and I are in a position now, we have companies that could have used more money and we didn't have more money to award them. So we have to be very, very careful with how we allocate and have good communication. If folks aren't going to be using the money in a timely fashion, reallocate. And that's important because if you see 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th bullet down, scroll up a little bit, Meg. We want to talk about based on full-time employees. So if you scroll so we can get to that book. So 25%. So one of the criteria that we would have to get additional information in. If your company has a turnover rate of 25% or higher, you are initially not eligible. Now, Jay and I can, on your behalf, go to the statewide office director and plead your case upon you providing us a written explanation of why your turnover rate is so high and what plans are being undertaken to get that turnover rate down. And some of those training initiatives should be on your plan. So you need to write this, and then we would have to submit your request or explanation for approval if you have a 25% or higher turnover rate. So I see a comment here, if you're a startup and you don't have any turnover rate, then
That's fine.
Then that's fine. You don't have a turnover.
You don't have a turnover
is 0.
0, yeah.
So you're okay. But if you hire one person and that person leaves, you're going to have a turnover rate of what?
100% or 50%, yeah, because if
So that's going to be pretty quickly, but that probably won't impact you until the next fiscal year. So let's scroll down a little bit more because I want to highlight. Okay, keep going. Here we go, right there. So this gives you a quick and dirty of industries that if you're in this industry, or which would you be eligible for the program. And forgive me for not knowing the makeup of your organization or the individuals that are listening, but if you would take a quick look at this, and this kind of gives you an idea of, okay, it looks like I'm good to go. And this is also where, if you're not quite sure, just by looking at this information, you can reach out to one of the partners and provide your website. So it's for us to do a little bit more research, but we want to work with you. I always say this is an open book test. We're not trying to trick anyone. So please use this as a guide to have a discussion with us about your eligibility, and the program. Jay, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, and then also, let's if you have 3 branches of your company within the state, if they are with, well, all three companies with the same FEIN number will get 100,000. They don't get 100,000 each.
Correct.
So if you have, let's say if you have 3 companies within a 10-mile radius of each other, you can use one training plan. But if they are more than 10 miles apart, then each division or each section has to have their own training plan. And again, the same FEIN number will apply for all. If apply to all companies, you don't get 100,000 hours per division. You get 100,000 hours for all the companies, all 3 companies.
And to be honest, too, that's a max. And so I don't know, I can't speak for Jay, but I very rarely have a company that I've awarded that much money to.
Yeah.
There have been a case, one-off case, but that would be the maximum. So what I always tell clients is that if you end up doing a training plan, and if once you hit $100,000 on your training plan, if it's done in the right order, then stop adding training, because you can't get any more than 100,000, and there's no need to create busy work.
Exactly.
But once you start the process and you have some conversations in terms of you start adding, and the other thing too, which is kind of tricky, is that we haven't figured out double counting. So you can put 10 people on a training event, and then you have another training event that says 10 people. We can't tell if it's the same 10 people. So you may get to 100,000, but it's not really 100,000 if the same people are doing training in each one of those. When they exhaust their $2,000 a piece, then you should stop. That's just another way, and hopefully that's not too confusing. But the short of it is, you would do your training plan. The most straightforward is, if you get to $100,000 on your training plan, don't add anything else up there, because we can't fund you anymore. But if you think, you say, hey, I know I can put more training because some of these individuals are duplicates and they may have exhausted their money, we can revisit that. Hey, Jay, why don't we take, unless you think there's other things really, really critical, let's open it to questions.
So questions,
keep this document open, because a lot of your questions, we can probably direct you to particular pages that you might want to highlight down the road. But Jay and I will probably be able to answer a lot of them. But this is a good document in terms of, hey, make a note to go to page X from that perspective. So Aaliyah and Meg, I'll turn it back over to you folks to say how you want to proceed in terms of particular questions. Did we lose Aaliyah? Did we lose Meg?
Hi, this is Meg. I'm here. If the attendees would like to put their questions in the Q&A, we can organize them that way. And I do not see any currently.
Okay. Another point I'd like to make is the application has to be completed by an employee of the company.
Yes, very good, Jay.
Because most companies, or some companies, work with consultants. We don't want a consultant doing the application for you. You have to do it yourself, sign everything.
Matter of fact, let's
yourself.
do this. So Meg, let's scroll back up, because that's a very good point, Jay. We're trying, from a security standpoint, you can get some information from them, but only a person that's an employee of the company should be populating information into the WEDnet system. And each individual, that's another thing, each individual that's having access to the system should have their own dedicated sign-in and password. You should not be sharing passwords. So let's, you want to clear out the chat box and just keep addition, and we'll scroll up a little bit more. Because I think Jay had almost to page 2 or something like that. It just talks about some of the critical components and security features that we have. And I'm seeing your chat box, so maybe that's covering some. Oh, okay, that's me. So let's go back up. All right, let's stop there. Let's go to key information. Next page. There we go. I think we covered a lot of this.
Yes.
Here. And I think in under required documentation, you can see there where it's underlined, only employees of the company can be granted password protected access to Isaac.
And then also participation is 3 out of 5 years.
Okay.
You can go 2 years in a row, take a
Yep.
break, and then go another year. You cannot go 3 years in a row. It's 2 years in a row. Or you can do 1 year, take a break, do another year, take a break, or you do 1 and then 2, but you cannot do 3 straight years in a row.
And the other thing is where we are now, this is a good time to have this conversation because the application period started on June 1st. So you're not really far behind because we're just gathering information now and reviewing things. And like we said, closing out this year, when we can't take any action in terms of delivering our request for funds until end of July. So you have time to go to your counterparts, to talk to your vendors, at what particular type of training, one, to determine, am I eligible for the program? So the first thing I should probably ask is, do you do training? Anyone that's participating in this discussion, I hope that you're doing training, because that's the whole purpose of this program, is to reimburse for eligible training. So once you determine, yes, I'm doing some training, ideally, I'd like to be able to, and if you have a training budget, this particular program will leverage and stretch that training budget. If you don't have a training budget, and I have some really small companies that don't have a company, or I have companies that don't have a training budget, they only will do training to the amount that they eventually receive from the WEDnet program.
Yeah.
But I always tell folks, hey, this is not a guarantee. We have to make sure all the proper documentation is in place. But if you look like eligible for the program, if it looks like you're working with the vendors and the invoicing is proper, you will get reimbursed based on the amount that you've been awarded if you've done it in a timely fashion.
And
Meg, do you want to read that question?
I think it says, what type of training do you mean as a service, or are you talking about offering training to employees?
Jay, I'm not quite sure I understand the question.
that's training your employees.
Yes.
Yeah. It's training for it's training for your employees, within the organization.
Yes, whatever is relevant to the success of your business as far as annual trainings or anything like that. And I think a question came in the previous session where it asks, if you're the owner, you're still able to qualify for some of the training that you may need for your business. Is that correct, fellas?
Oh yes, if you're the owner, you qualify for training,
Yep.
but you can go to conferences,
If
you
you're
can
full,
take-
yeah.
Yeah. But the only thing is, if you're the owner and it's just you can only get $2,000. Once you hire somebody else, then you get more. And then another thing is, I don't know how Reggie handles this, but we get an allocation every year. So we get a certain amount of money from the state. Every partner gets a certain amount of money from the state. So what I do is, when you submit an application, let's say if you're asking for $20,000, I might give you 5 initially. And I'll look at your training plan and say, okay, well, they're going to do training this month, next month, or the first 3 months, and I'll give you money to cover those trainings. I will not give you $20,000 up front. I'm going to keep some of that money because it has happened quite often. When you give people money, they sit on it, and then at the end of the fiscal year, they don't do the training, and then you stuck with that money, and then you have to return it to the state, and then you get penalized.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
That's a ver-
if you ask for money, if you ask for 10,000, I give you 5, that doesn't mean you're not going to get the balance. You'll get the balance as you train. And I always tell people it's first come, first serve. You know, I don't want to sit on the money. I don't want to get stuck with the money.
Yeah, I agree with Jay, and I've done that too. I've learned over the years, I've been generous in terms of getting a whole bunch of money, and we have the ability, if it's not used after a period of time, and like you asked for 20,000, and Jay, if we gave you 20,000, and then come December, no training has been done. Actually, we have a period of time, it's in early
February.
next year, February.
Yeah.
We can, without your consent,
Yeah.
reduce your award. But I think because we are in the customer service business, we'll say, hey, what's going on here? Can you explain why the money hasn't been used? Your training plan said X, Y, and Z should have happened.
Yeah.
Please provide us an update, because we have other clients that could use the money. So similar to Jay, is if you have a full training plan throughout the year, and depending on the amount of money I receive and how many applications I receive, I want to get all my clients some money. But I have a conversation, like Jay said, say, hey, look, I see you have 10,000. I see you have training in the first couple of months. I can get you 5 now. If you do this, maintain your receipts or your invoices, and there's a good likelihood that we'll be able to add to your account. But we just want to make sure we give all of our clients an opportunity to get some funds.
And we're also required to spend, I think, is it 25% on small companies? Yeah, 25% of our allocation should be spent small companies.
And
What we try to do is award, the state looks at the overall program, and they want to have a good mix of small and large companies.
Yeah.
That take a look. And let's do this, Meg, while you're doing it, and scroll down to, let's go to like page 12. Because Jay and I want to give you a good answer. Okay, slow down. Okay, let's go back up. Let's go back up.
company size.
Right here. Okay, company size here. This is when we were talking about extra large companies.
Yeah.
And if you scroll down a little bit more, when we talk about, so this is our Bible. We do this a lot and we get mixed up a little bit, but we're going to let you know. Let's go down to when he says in-house training. Keep going. And keep going. Okay, let's stop here. And this is so again, remember I was telling you the third bullet, companies with more than 500 employees are not eligible for in-house training.
Yeah.
So if your company has less than 500 employees, you can have someone on staff do the training. Now it's going to be different. And this goes into detail here, and I'll just share it with you. So you get reimbursed based on the hourly rate of the instructor. Let's say it's a 4-hour class and they do they get paid $50 an hour. The maximum reimbursement would be $200, as long as it adheres to those other criteria listed above in terms of group training, maximum of 40 hours. This would be fine, single employees, 8 hours. So again, if you have a subject matter expert on staff, they can do the training, but they will also need to, as you see below, submit a redacted W-2 that's going to verify that they are getting paid what you put on the invoice details, that yes, in fact, they get paid $50 an hour.
Yeah. And if it's one person they're training, they only get reimbursed for 8 hours.
Right.
If they're training a group, they can get reimbursed for up to 40 hours.
And when we say a group, I think it's 3 or more, right, Jay?
Yes.
We'll open back up for questions. Any other specific question? Meg, did you look in the chat? I didn't see.
Yeah, I saw one. It actually says in the Q&A, it says, when is the invoice paid? I wasn't sure if you guys already answered that. I apologize.
So what was the question again, Aaliyah?
It says, when is the invoice paid? It might have been something we went over already.
When is it paid?
Yes.
The state cuts a check, I think, every Thursday.
Oh.
It depends. Yeah. If you.
Yeah, but you should give us 2 to 3 weeks after submission. Once it meets all the criteria, going back and forth and making sure everything's correct. They, at the end of the week, they will cut a check to us or to Jay, and I'm not sure how you're set up, but then it comes, we get the checks for all the training that happened that week. And then we need to sort it and split it and send it to the respective companies.
Yeah.
So it will be another, couple of weeks after it's been approved that you will get your reimbursement.
Well, we are required to, once we get the check, we are required to send you your check within 30 days.
Yes. That's a much more succinct way of saying it. Thanks, Jay.
Thank you so much for getting that information out. I do think Tabitha had a second part to her question. I'm not sure we missed it. She said, thank you. So if you're offering training to employees, are you offering training to employees to advance their skill set? And can you offer this to IT service companies such as consulting and staffing companies?
So this is a skill and reimbursement program. If it's enhancing the skill sets, the program should be eligible. Let's scroll back up in terms of eligible training. And I think we had industries. Now, the consulting industry is not, I don't think consulting is eligible.
No.
To slow down. So this is examples of topics of training. So if you go to college, if you're in school, the tuition is
reimbursable. Yeah.
And if it's consumable products, materials, such as if you're in a welding class and you have to purchase rods that will be consumed and used up in the class.
In the class, yeah.
The materials, in addition to the tuition, would be reimbursable. Fees, general oversight fees, that would not be eligible for reimbursement. Now, the key thing with college classes, remember, it has to fall within the fiscal year.
Yeah.
So as example, we're currently in first summer here at the Community College of Allegheny County. If someone started a class this summer, it has to end by
June 30th.
If it ends in July, then it would not be eligible because it's crossing fiscal years. So let's scroll back up. So this gives you a sampling of the types of topics covered, but I think we do highlight here industries and that they were talking about the eligibility of the industry. So let's scroll. So stop here. You said consulting is a consultant industries.
She said,
It depends. It depends.
Consulting and staffing.
It depends. Because you have construction companies, you have real estate companies, you have architectural companies that qualify. So it depends.
So business services. So I'm looking. So the question was, is a consulting firm eligible for the program? Is that the question?
Can you offer this to IT service companies such as consulting and staffing companies?
IT companies qualify, yeah.
IT, yes. IT is definitely eligible.
Okay. Yeah, I think that was the question.
Now the program, remember, this is the program that particular company would apply. And you don't have to select us as much as Jay and I. If Jay and I have the type of training you need, we welcome the opportunity to be selected to do the training as a training provider, but you have the option of who you select. And I think we must have glossed over that, but you select the vendor.
Who you want.
Yeah, that's your call. We do not issue a list of eligible training providers.
No.
So that's on you in terms of identifying who you want to deliver the training for your people.
And Reggie, I think we asked this before. Is there somewhere in this guidelines that outlines the criteria for selecting if those training programs are qualified? Yeah.
No. No, just if you would just scroll down again to that page that covers the different types of topics. In here, stop here.
Yeah.
So these are just a sampling.
These are just a sample, yeah.
Right. So if you don't see the particular training that you're looking to do, call Jay or myself. I mean, or whatever partner you decide to work with, and we will walk you through it. So this is the one, it gives you the type of categories, and it's only a sampling. So under business operations, there may be something else, but if you deem that the type of training you're doing is business operations, but we don't have it listed there, that's fine. So we do it this way for a couple of reasons. One, once you start populating the field, you're going to have to select a category of training. And this kind of gives you an overview of, say, if it's a math class, when you select it, when you're populating your training plan, it's going to be under business operations. So this is really a guide for you. If it's not up there, that doesn't mean it won't be covered.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Tabitha, for all those amazing questions. This is your one-on-one time. So you definitely need to make sure that you're certain. We just wanted to invite you guys to this session so you'll be more successful in completing this application and receiving the funding if you're looking to do so. So thank you for joining us. I'm looking to make sure I didn't overlook anyone's questions. I appreciate you, Eduardo, Tabitha, for your questions and for joining us today. And I'm going to just check the Q&A one more time. Reggie and Jay, you guys are amazing. If you guys are looking for their contact information, I believe we shared it at some point, or Meg is going to make sure that we give you guys the follow-up information so that you can have access to these guidelines and access to the content to our presenters today. So again, I definitely want to thank you guys for your time. Thank you, Giselle, and thank you all of our attendees. Just to let you know, I do see a few new members on here, a few people that joined us on your Certified What's Next post-certification webinar. And just to let you know, all of our sessions that are recorded are shared on our video library. Please go to emsdc.org to check out our video library if you're looking for any presentations, past webinars, or sessions that will enhance the skill set or the growth of your business. Also on our essentials page, you want to definitely check out our assistance tab. It'll give you a list of funding resources, upcoming opportunities to promote your business and scale your business. So please check out that tab. We have some pitch competitions, some loan information, some grant information on there. So we definitely don't want you to overlook that when you're checking out our website. So again, just want to make sure we didn't miss anything. I want to thank everybody and our presenters for their time. And please make sure you reach out to me, Aaliyah Bunch. I'm going to put my email address in this chat just in case you don't have it, at emsdc.org. If you'd like to meet individually and complete an assessment to see how we can create a goal, how we can answer to your council goals. So again, thank you guys, and I'll see you guys on July 17th at our annual golf tournament. Reggie and Jay, I didn't get a chance to offer you an invite, but we definitely would love to see you there if you're able to join us. And we'd like to thank everyone again for joining us today.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All the
right,
best.
guys, take care.
Enjoy the rest of the day.
All right, thank you, Jay. Thank you, Reggie. Bye-bye.